Yeah. We'll go ahead. Good evening. Welcome to this Tuesday, October 20th, 2020 meeting of the Raymore Planning and Zoning Commission. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Staff. We'll call roll, and let me remind commissioners, please make sure your microphone is lighted green and speak into the mic for the record. Commissioner Wiggins.
Present.
Commissioner Bowie.
Present.
Commissioner Ackland.
Present.
Commissioner Fizer.
Present.
Commissioner Peterman.
Present.
Commissioner Urquia.
Present, and I don't have a microphone to turn on to tell you I'm present.
Oops.
I see the microphone as well. So present.
Huh.
Silence the west side of the room. I know I talk a lot.
Well, that was unintentional, I'm sure, but yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Didn't notice. Okay, so yeah, Commissioner Urquia is present. I think we'll wait a second till we get you a microphone. And all right, Mayor Turnbow.
Present.
And Commissioner Faulkner is present. So we do have a quorum. We have no personal appearances this evening, and one item on consent agenda, which is approval of minutes from October 6th, 2020 meeting. Unless any of the commissioners have concerns, I'd entertain either a motion to accept consent agenda or approve minutes from October 6th, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Urquia, second by Commissioner Peterman to approve consent agenda. All those in favor, raise a hand, please. 6, 7, 8. And that's 8 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. There's nothing this evening under unfinished business, so that takes us right along to new business. Case 20019, North Cass Plaza preliminary plat. This case will require a public hearing, and so I will open the public hearing on case 20019 and ask the applicant if you'd like to come forward to the podium and present your case.
Did you turn it on, Dave?
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's green, isn't it?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Now it is.
Yeah, now it is.
Now, good.
Good evening,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman and members of the board. This is Track 9, North Cass Plaza, that before was preliminary platted. The city had come to us previously after the preliminary plat had expired due to the lack of advancement or interest in the economy. So we put together just a basic plat of the entire parcel. Before, we had it preliminary platted with separate parcels and more defined in detail. So what we would like to do is just have the entire, I believe it's 35 acres, platted as one piece and be able to come to you as we get tenants that are are requesting to come in. We do have some interest with some tenants, but then we would develop it in phases, probably 3 phases. So that's what you have in front of you is what's been designed as the final plat.
David, could you remind us your name and address?
I'm sorry, David Otis with Good Otis
Thank you.
for the Good Ranch.
Yeah. Okay, and so actually, just a little point of clarification. I think you just said final plat. We've actually got both cases this evening, preliminary plats,
Oh.
this one up first, and then we'll go to
Right.
final.
Right.
So,
Thank
you
you for
agree?
correcting me
Yeah,
on that.
okay. Does anyone have questions for the applicant before we let him sit down again? All right. Thank you, Mr. Otis.
Thank you.
And now we'll move to staff report. Ms. Jardot?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as Mr. Otis said, he is requesting preliminary plat approval for about 35 acres just south of North Cass Parkway. This is the preliminary plat. The growth management defines and the future land use map defines the area as appropriate for commercial and business development with some park development as well. And then the major thoroughfare plan map classifies Dean Avenue and North Cass Parkway as minor arterial roads. I'd like to read into the items of record. Exhibit 1, the mailed notices to the adjoining property owner. Exhibit 2, notice of publication. Exhibit 3, Unified Development Code. Exhibit 4, the application. Exhibit 5, the growth management plan. Exhibit 6, the staff reports. And then any additional exhibits as presented during the hearing. As I just stated, there was one adjoining property owner and he was notified and asked to call us if he wanted to schedule a meeting, and we did not receive a call, but he was notified. A couple items to kind of point out that have previously happened on the project. As Dave stated, the property was preliminary platted and initially approved in 2014, and it expired in March of 2019. Also previously, the Dean Avenue extension and right-of-way were approved, and the right-of-way was recorded earlier in 2020, and construction has started, which I think you can kind of see on the photos as well. It was just the right-of-way and the road that were platted, though, not this lot. No buildings are being proposed at this time, and pedestrian safety and connectivity will be evaluated during the site plan, and 5-foot sidewalks would be required then as well. If the North Cass Plaza preliminary and final plat are approved and the final plat recorded, then any future subdivision of the 2 lots would require them to be replatted and come back before you guys. City staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the staff proposed findings of fact and forward case number 20019, North Cass Plaza preliminary plat, to the City Council with a recommendation of approval. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Jardot. Any questions for staff at this time? Okay. At this time, I'll give the public an opportunity to speak on this case at the public hearing. If anyone would like to speak, please come forward to the podium. And seeing none, I'll close the public hearing on case 20019, North Cass Plaza preliminary plat, and we'll move to discussion from the commission. I did have a question actually for Mr. Crass, but since he's not here, I'll let you fight amongst yourself for the opportunity to address it. I think Mr. Otis actually pretty much told me the answer to this. Reading the engineering memo, transportation system, it talks about lots 9 and 10, and in the stormwater management, it talks about Lot 5, and I was a little bit concerned that those did not agree with numbers on the current preliminary plat. As Mr. Otis said, there was an earlier plat that had more individual lots. So I guess my only question for staff really is, are we okay with sending this engineering memo on to City Council, or should it be corrected before it goes to council?
I think we're okay with sending it on, just because it helps further define the areas a little
Sure.
bit better that engineering is talking about. But if that's a problem, I think it wouldn't be an issue to change it.
Well, it's in the question is in the record, which I know will go to City Council. Mayor Turnbow, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I was trying to look it over here to see if I looked over the big maps earlier, and I didn't see any discrepancies between the two plats that would give me concern or the council concern, but I would defer again to community development, see if that was anything that they had, or even Mr. Zur. Mr. Zur, do you have any input on that? I mean, I really don't.
I really don't, and I'm not going to try and pretend to be an engineer tonight.
Well, I think the takeaway is the engineering memorandum says it's okay regardless of what the lot numbers actually were called. Do you agree, staff?
Yes, but I can speak with them. We'll update it for consistency.
Okay, that sounds great. Mr. Zur, you can tell us then, do we need that to be a condition of approval, or just count on staff to fix it?
I would advise staff to adjust the same before presentation to the council, and you can include that as part of your motion if you're inclined.
Okay, thank you. I think that's the only concern I had.
I would note it's probably going to be as necessary based upon the engineer's determination.
Sure, I think that gives flexibility, that's good. Other commissioners or the mayor, do you have any other questions about North Cass Plaza preliminary plat? Would anyone on the commission like to make a motion to dispose of case 20019?
Sure. I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the staff proposed finding of facts and forward case number 20019 North Cass Plaza preliminary plat to the City Council with a recommendation of approval, taking into consideration the engineering pieces, that the engineering suggestion to make the drawings consistent with the outlined stuff. I lost it there.
Took that on really quick.
I did, because I had it and then it left.
With instructions for staff to confer with engineering and make any adjustments to the engineering report prior to presentation to City Council. How's that?
What he just said.
What he said.
Second.
It was the second? Okay.
Good job. I know.
So we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Urquia, second by Commissioner Wiggins. Now you can laugh at me. To accept staff proposed findings of fact on case 20019 North Cass Plaza preliminary plat and forward to City Council with recommendation of approval, subject to the condition that staff will concur with engineering and make any corrections to the engineering memorandum that are deemed appropriate. Okay. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, raise a hand, please. 8. And I have 8 in favor and none opposed, no abstentions. And that will take us to our second case under new business this evening, case 20020. This is North Cass Plaza, the final plat. And Mr. Otis, if you wouldn't mind, we'll invite you to come forward and present this case as well.
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman and board members. My name is Dave Otis. I'm with Good Otis, and we are before you this evening to seek approval of the final plat for North Cass Plaza of the Good Ranch. And as stated before, it's a single tract of 35 acres that would come before you as each parcel and each prospect has shown their interest in the property, and we would develop it in conjunction with that prospect in separate phases, probably 3 phases.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Otis. All right, Ms. Jardot, will you give us the staff report on case 20020, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is, the applicant is seeking to obtain final plat approval for North Cass Parkway at the Good Ranch, first plat. As mentioned before, or as kind of brought to the attention, this is the same engineering memo, which speaks to the approval. So we will get with engineering to update it so that it's consistent
Sure.
across both the preliminary and the final plat. But seeing as this is the same as the preliminary plat, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the staff proposed findings of fact and forward case number 20020, North Cass Park Plaza, first final plat to the City Council with a recommendation of approval, subject to the following condition, which is that the applicant shall submit construction drawings with coordinating lot numbers.
Thank you. And there was no public hearing required on this case, so the floor is open for any questions by the commission. Or if not, would anyone on the commission like to make a motion on this case?
I'll give it a shot.
Oh, sorry. Microphone's
can-
fooled me. Commissioner Bowie.
I'll make a motion that the commission accept staff's finding of facts and forward case 20020 to City Council for approval.
And will you note the conditions, or at least the condition that's noted on staff report?
Yeah, I want to restate that one because I didn't get it.
Okay. The condition in staff report said the applicant shall submit construction drawings with coordinating lot numbers. So,
Okay. That to finish it out, that there must be, what do you want to put it? Do you want to put it the way you put it?
sure, construction drawings with coordinating lot numbers. Mr. Zer, that sound right?
Construction drawings to coordinate lot numbers. So that'll complete the motion.
Second.
And the second was Commissioner Arkia. Thank you. All right, so the motion on the floor is to accept staff proposed findings of fact on case 20020, North Cass Plaza, first final plat, and forward the case to City Council with recommendation of approval, subject to the condition that the applicant shall submit construction drawings with coordinating lot numbers.
Yeah.
And that was acceptable, right? Yeah. Okay. Is there any discussion on this motion? And if not, all those in favor, raise a hand, please. 1, 2, 3, 4. 8. Thank you. And that's 8 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. All right. Our next case this evening is case 20015, the Unified Development Code 33rd Amendment. And this case will require a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing on case 20015 at this point, and we'll invite either Ms. Jardot or Mr. Ketteret to give us the staff report on this case.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the 33rd Amendment to the Unified Development Code. We previously discussed this at the July 7th meeting. And so there are 17 items, and I'll just kind of read through them. The first one is changing any instances of the Community Development Director to be Development Services Director throughout the Unified Development Code. Those are the first and second. And then the third is the wording in the UDC proposed to be consistent with the rules of procedure that were adopted back in February of this year. Section 4, wording to ensure that all the conditions of approval for a property owner under a variance of use are complied with. Otherwise, the variance is no longer approved. Section 5, delete the street design requirements from the UDC and reference that the requirements are contained within the city technical specifications and design criteria manual. Section 6, establish the same fence requirements for the rural estate lots as those that are zoned agriculture. Section 7, the UDC requires that a final plat be recorded within 1 year of the date the plat was approved, and there's no need to require a copy to be submitted within 15 days. Section 8, clarification on the temporary sign requirements and how it applies to individual tenants as opposed to buildings. Section 9, the wording clarifies the table, which states swimming pools and boathouses, and the setback that it needs to be 5 feet from the side or rear property line. Section 10 eliminates the 16 square feet size restriction for menu boards and replaces it with a new section that has further specifications for menu boards. Section 11 is then that new code section for drive-through menu boards, and it increases the maximum size to 42 square feet. Section 12 modifies requirements for construction of trash and recycling containment areas in new development and also allows for shared use between tenants in a building area. Section 13 establishes architectural design elements for multifamily housing. This helps avoid large blank facades and helps to distinguish the multi-housing from commercial property and maintain some residential character. Section 14 modifies the wording so that the bottom 3 feet of commercial buildings are to be constructed of brick, stone, or another similar material if EIFS or wood is the primary building material. This is because those building materials can get sort of torn up and scuffed really easily, so this is just a little bit of a nicer option and helps maintain the building a little bit better. Section 15 then provides a definition for EIFS. Section 16 adds a requirement that slats are not to be woven through or attached to chain link fences in the commercial zoning district, since they can get broken and then are not typically repaired very quickly. Then Section 17 clarifies that no subdivision of land can occur that creates a non-conforming lot, building, or structure or component of use. And those last two were just further clarifications in the code so that those things don't happen. The staff recommends the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the staff proposed findings of fact and forward case number 20015, the 33rd Amendment to the Unified Development Code, to the City Council with a recommendation of approval. And I am available for any questions.
Yep, thank you, Ms. Jardot. At this time, I'll invite anyone from the public that wishes to speak on case 20015, UDC 33rd Amendment. Please come forward to the podium. And seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and open the floor for discussion, questions from the commission.
I got a quick question.
Commissioner Bowie.
I don't want to hold us too much, 'cause I know we discussed this. Number 3, you mentioned about the commission. Just curious if we had talked about previously, not that we need to, but did we talk about who makes those the determination of the excused versus non-excused? Did we talk about that at all?
We did. So we talked about if they let us know ahead of time, and that's through an email or whatever, and it can be even right before the meeting, that would be excused because they're letting us know ahead of time. And then if it was for a sickness or something where they maybe didn't let us know ahead of time but have since communicated, that would also likely be excused. But ultimately, it would end up being up to the mayor if there was a point of.
So excused is, just so I'm clear, excused is a call or a notification ahead of time, and that blanketly takes care of excused. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I mean, I'd prefer an email, but call's fine too.
Okay. I didn't know if there was any other criteria leading to what determines excused.
Now, staff, feel free to add to my comment, but I think one of the key things is we need a quorum to conduct business, and if we found ourselves lacking a quorum, then time is money to a developer, whatever. So at least one of the reasons for this clause is to try to make sure that if someone is going to be absent, that we can look around and make sure that we do have a quorum for the meeting. Does that sound reasonable to staff?
Yes, sir. I think it was also that if for some reason even the excused absences continued to where someone wasn't there for 10 out of, how many are there? Sorry, 26 meetings, that the mayor or staff could suggest that person step down or
Right.
Be replaced, but it would not it wouldn't be a final decision.
Yeah. I do know over past history, and you know, we're talking several years ago, maybe more than several, but there were commissioners whose jobs actually took them out of town on occasion, and I'm not sure whether the number of meetings they missed would have actually tripped this threshold, but certainly could have. However, those were people with very valuable experience, and you know, they did let us know when they were going to be absent on business. So
Yeah, I just asked the question because there's a lot of subjectivity to the word excused, you know, what
Sure.
determines excused and not excused. So I think you explained it. Thank you.
other questions for staff? I have one. So it's actually, it's not going to show up in the staff report, but in the actual draft ordinance, I guess this would be page 5 under section 10. And this is the signboards. So this is actually the first of the two sections dealing with signboards. This is 435.060. Neil, and I'm seeing G1A at the top and G2 down below, so that may need to be checked also. But the reference in G2 that says incidental sign used for ordering products such as drive-through menu board, new wording says shall comply with section 435.060G, and I believe that reference should be 435.060I, which is the new section below drive-through menu boards. But that's my question for staff is, should the reference in G2 be changed from G to I?
In the second one, yes, and I'm checking on the G1A part.
Yeah.
where it says section, at the very beginning, section 435.060 G1A is amended as follows. That should be changed to section 435.060 G2.
Okay. And then down in G2, do you agree that where it says new wording shall comply with 435.060G, should that now be new paragraph I?
Aye, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. I believe that's the only question that I had on that. Do any of the other commissioners,
I have a question.
Commissioner Pfizer?
Looking at section 14, or 13, I'm sorry, about the design materials for multifamily or single-family attached buildings. On G, there's a lot of things that are prohibited, and I'm kind of wondering why those specific things are prohibited.
You said G?
Yes.
Okay. So for one, it simply felt that those are not very, sustainable is not the right word, but they don't weather very well in our, so a nicer, hardier material should be used. In terms of the CMU block corrugated and painted metal, again, those are not, I guess we're looking for a more residential design, and that comes across as a more commercial design or industrial, really. And then for the wood shake roofing material, that has a lot to do with bugs, and then it's also a fire hazard to use that type of material, so different composite would be better.
Well, I get that part. I'm a little
Okay.
concerned about the painted metal and the corrugated metal. I think just from a design perspective, I think that they can be used in a really, cool, fascinating way. I think I'm all for something that doesn't look like everything else in town. So I kind of feel like this is limiting what, people come to us with. If someone came to us with a design that had these materials, is there a way that they can actually use them? I mean, get a variance or whatever is necessary to do that? Or is it just simply excluded?
You can.
Yes, there'd be an opportunity for variance. They'd have to go through the process, an application for a variance, which would then be community development review and then presentation to the Board of Zoning Adjustment.
And then some of the newer designs, and I don't have the background that you have, but that I've seen, I guess it was my understanding that they have been almost like wrapped. The metal's been wrapped in something, and you can give it a wood grain look. You can kind of, it's almost like a vinyl attached to it. And so in that case, it wouldn't necessarily fall under a prohibited material, but they do have an avenue.
Okay, I'm just concerned, it just feels limiting. I'm all for, let's bring in storage container homes and, it's things like that. Let's think outside the box. So it just feels a little limiting to me. That's my concern.
Thank you. Commissioner Pfizer. Other questions from the commissioners?
I'd like to make a motion.
Commissioner Bowie?
I'll make a motion that Planning and Zoning Commission accept the staff proposed finding of facts in forward case 20015, 33rd Amendment to the UDC, inclusive of the 17 changes to the City Council with a recommendation of approval.
Mr. Zerb, do we need a condition on there for
Okay.
corrections discussed? Okay. Commissioner Bowie, would you like to add that?
Should I word the correction?
With noted.
I would identify the paragraphs with noted exceptions to paragraphs. Or items, 11 and 13?
I believe it,
Just 11?
No,
Section 10.
Thank
Section 10.
Section
Yeah,
10.
I agree with Commissioner Wiggins.
Okay. All right, try it again. I'll make a motion that the Planning and Zoning Commission accept the staff proposed finding of facts in forward case 20015, 33rd Amendment to the UDC, to the City Council with a recommendation of approval with the condition of the noted correction in Section 10. Perfect.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Second by Commissioner Wiggins. So we have a motion on the floor to accept staff proposed findings of fact on case 20015, 33rd Amendment to the UDC, and forward to City Council with a recommendation of approval, subject to the corrections noted in Section 10. Is there any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor, raise a hand, please. 7, 8. 8 in favor, none opposed, and no abstentions. And that will conclude new business for this evening and take us into, Mr. Zur, if you would, present the City Council report to us.
Thank you, Chairman. Since your last meeting, there's been one City Council meeting where business has been conducted. That occurred on October 12th. In that agenda items, there are 2 items of in particular notice of note for the Planning and Zoning Commission. The first is second reading of the Parkside subdivision rezoning. This was the Joe Duffy Parkside LLC redevelopment or rezoning of 155 acres north of west side of North Madison Street and south of 163rd Street from agricultural to R1P, single-family residential plan district. The Planning and Zoning Commission approved this on the September 15th, 2020 meeting by unanimous vote. It received approval by unanimous vote at the City Council on September 28th, and it was finally approved as a second reading on October 12th. The other item of interest for the Planning and Zoning Commission is the approval of the 32nd Amendment to the Unified Development Code. You all recall that this would be associated with the small wireless facilities within the city right-of-way and upon private property. Planning and Zoning Commission considered this on its September 1st, 2020 meeting and approved it unanimously. City Council approved it at its first reading on September 28th, 2020, and it received approval by the Council on the October 12th, 2020 meeting. That would be all of the identifiable items that the Planning and Zoning Commission had involved for the recent City Council meeting. And as always, I would invite Mr. Cadret, Ms. Jardot, as well as Mayor Turnbow to provide any additional supplemental information that they feel is appropriate.
Is there anything to add? No? All right, thank you, Mr. Zur, and that'll take us along to the staff report. Mr. Cadret, Ms. Jardot.
Thank you, sir. A couple of items, just looking at calendar for upcoming meetings. City Council meeting Monday night would have been the public hearing for the Saddlebrook rezoning that you considered earlier this month. The applicants have placed a hold on that review. And so before it can come back in front of council for the public hearing, we'll start the re-notification process to the neighbors of the public hearing before council. So your recommendation stands. The applicant wanted some time to review to review whether they wanted to move forward, so they placed a hold on it. But again, it will not go back in front of council without us notifying the neighbors when that public hearing would be set for. November 3rd meeting of the commission, which is election day. We don't have any cases, so I believe that meeting can be canceled. Then I want to note we will have back-to-back meetings. Monday, November 16th is the annual joint meeting between the City Council and the Planning Commission. Again, this would be a special meeting where we're going to also have at that meeting invited the Parks and Recreation Board members and our Art Commission members, where there'll be discussion from staff and amongst the different committees and boards regarding the upcoming work we're going to be doing on a new city comprehensive plan. So we've had the Planning Commission's role in that. Of course, you have the growth management plan, You also have some input, when we do the transportation plan but the other boards and commissions have their specific plans. What we're talking about as a city is, in moving forward, is having one overall comprehensive plan, bringing in all these different separate plans into one document. So we'll just have a kind of I don't want to call it a kickoff meeting, but an introduction of how that process will look for all of our board members. Then the following evening, we do have a regular meeting of the Planning Commission scheduled. Initially, we were going to see the public hearing for the preliminary plat for the Parkside subdivision, which was the rezoning recently approved by council. But staff has placed a hold on that preliminary plat. We're still waiting for a required document from the applicant in order to move forward. So it wasn't a complete submittal, and we continue to wait on that document, and so we have not scheduled the required good neighbor meeting. And we did not want to schedule the public hearing in front of the Planning Commission until we have time to go through that process. So that review is on hold. But that evening, we do have a site plan for consideration. This was filed by Community America Credit Union. They have purchased the property at the northeast corner of Peace Drive and 58 Highway. It's a vacant lot in front of the Willowwood Shopping Center. It was formerly owned by the church. It's just a grass lot. They have purchased that property and want to put up their credit union facility there. So we will be considering the site plan that evening. And that is currently what we have scheduled for the commission. That concludes the staff report.
One question, Mr. Carteret, on the joint meeting on November 16th, what time do we expect that meeting to be?
We believe it'll be at 6 o'clock, and there will be dinner served.
Location.
And it will be at Centerview.
Okay.
Thank
Can I ask
you.
a question about that? Question?
Sure. Commissioner Bowie?
It always nice to get an email reminder, just as a heads up on that one. So Centerview, 7 o'clock.
No,
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
I'm sorry. Whoops. Look at that, messed up already. I got two questions real quick. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, first question is additional building activity. Can you expound a little bit on foundation plans are under review for first industrial building in Raymore Commerce Center? It's the last bullet.
Yes, this is the Van Trust development south of North Cass Parkway, where they have extended Dean Avenue, and they are doing a speculative building as their first of 3 buildings there. If you recall, we approved the site plan some time ago. They're following the site plan for the first building. It's a little over 570,000 square foot.
Okay, so would that be like similar to what's going on just down the road north, a mile or two in Belton or something?
Very similar, so yes.
Last question is, the meeting on November 16th discussed new comprehensive plan. Is that a 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan?
It typically would be a 5 to 10-year plan. We have a tendency, we've been doing it more in a 5-year cycle in Raymore as far as the growth management plan is concerned.
But this is bigger than the growth
This is
management.
bigger than the growth management plan. The growth management plan is a component of the overall comprehensive plan.
I was just curious, was that going to be a long-range deal?
Yeah, definitely it is the long-range plan overall for the city moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions for staff about the staff report? Yeah. All right. We'll move ahead to public comment. If anyone from the public wanted to speak to the commission this evening, this would be an opportunity, and seeing no one, we will move ahead to commission member comment. And since I don't remember where I started last time, Vice Chair Pfizer, can I start with you this evening?
Sure, totally unprepared. Just want to thank staff for all their help and getting everything to us in a timely manner so we can review it. And that's really it. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Bowie, I'm going to move to you.
Okay. Just thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, yes.
Okay. Commissioner Ackland.
I don't really have any comments either. I do want to say thank you. I appreciate the clarification when we do the wordings and things of that nature there. That helps. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah. Secretary Peterman.
No comments tonight.
Okay. Commissioner Urquia.
Just thank you to city staff. Thank you for the microphone, and appreciate all you do.
Yeah. All right. Commissioner Wiggins.
Thanks as always to staff. Next weekend, a week from Saturday, is Halloween, so if anybody is going out with the little ones, be careful. Obviously, social distance when possible, et cetera, et cetera. So have a good time, and make sure to steal all your kids' candy, because it'll rot their teeth out. So good reason for you to eat it instead.
Thank you. Mayor Turnbow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate your keen eye tonight and catching a couple of Scribner errors there that we might have had in our report. That's why you're vital to this board, and we appreciate you. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, and we talked about a little bit at the council meeting, and I was kind of zoning out, so maybe Jonathan already said it, but we were talking about Ward Road. You know, the RFP has gone out for that, and we're getting very close to potentially deciding upon the construction plan for that project, and then we'll be moving toward the bidding process. So that's moving along pretty quickly. One of the things that people are frightened about is the MoDOT projects that are putting in the traffic circles at 58 and Prairie Lane and 58 and Ward Road, and whether or not they will interfere with the construction of Ward Road, if they'll follow on the end or start before. We're working very closely with MoDOT to try to coordinate that effort to minimize the heartache that's going to come with that major reconstruction project for both the school district and the residents down there. So we're working closely with them. I know Mr. Crass has been talking to Matt Killian there at MoDOT on a regular basis to try to get that scheduling part put together in a neat little package. But there will be some heartache along 58 Highway as both of those traffic circles go in. While they're going in, when it's over with, it'll be an extremely much safer thoroughfare for the citizens of Raymore and those coming through and coming to Raymore. So we're looking forward to that, but I just want to let you know that they are coordinating that as closely as possible for scheduling purposes, because I know the school district's very concerned about the East Middle and how that will disrupt their busing plans. And we're hoping to get started on it this spring and potentially be done with the major part of it by the end of the summer. But that's kind of up to how we move forward with construction plans and so forth. But they're working feverishly on that. And that's probably, out of the general obligations bond, one of the most disruptive projects that we're going to have until toward the end of the 3-year cycle. We move to Kurzweil Road, and then Kurzweil will have that same disruption for a bit. But anyway, just kind of wanted to give you an update on that. Thank you, sir.
No, thank you. That's very informative and good to know. All right. I guess I'm the only one left. I'll say a very quick thank you to staff for all of your help this evening. And unless anyone has any other comments, I would entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Urquia, second by Commissioner Wiggins to adjourn this evening's meeting. All those in favor, raise a hand, please. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions. And thank you very much.